All right, so this is a requested video that you guys asked me about, and you guys always want to know how to get your 808s to hit harder. Now, there's already a ton of videos out there that can show you guys how to do this, but I'm gonna show you guys 3 ways how to get your 808s to hit harder in your beats. So let's go ahead and get to it. Bolo! All right, before we get started, if you guys need anything for your studio, make sure you guys go ahead and click mysounds.com link in the description and get you something for your studio. They have a whole bunch of stuff on the site that requires no credit or background check, meaning all you have to do is order it, they'll ship it to you, and then you just make monthly installments on the equipment. All they just need is a credit or debit card hooked to the account so they can take the money out monthly. Now, it's not everything on the site, but it is a whole bunch of stuff on the site that you guys can go ahead and get right now with no credit or background check. So go ahead and click that sounds.com link in the video description and get you some gear today. All right, you guys know how much I rock with analog cases because they make the best cases that will protect your musical gear. However, did you guys know that they make very dope stands as well? You need to check out their XTS stands. These things are crazy. They come in 2 different sizes, and these things are made of premium steel. If you're someone like me who uses their MPC Live 2, or if you use like a Machine Plus or a Machine or like a SP404, or even like an iPad or smaller DJ gear, these stands are made for professional musicians just like you. And the good thing about it is you don't have to break the bank to get the stands. They're very inexpensive. So if you're a musician that is looking to get a professional grade stand, make sure you guys go ahead and click my analog cases link in the description and get you a stand today. All right, so this is a subject that a lot of you guys hit me up on. I really didn't know how to make this video in a sense because there's already so many other videos showing you guys how to mix 808s in songs and in your beats as well. But one thing I want to cover is how to do this without using any plugins. Just using the 808 and just using a few techniques that I've learned over the years to get my drums and my 808s to sound right. Now, it doesn't matter what program you're using or what type of standalone gear you're using, pretty much all of these techniques can work across the board. Now, I was gonna do a really elaborate video on this, but there's already so many videos that explain this and show you so much different stuff that I just felt like, maybe I should just explain this more than showing you all the cinematics and everything so you guys can just understand where I'm coming from. And hopefully you guys will, understand where I'm coming from. So let's go over the 3 ways how you can get your 808s to sound better without using any plugins. All right, number 1, sound selection. This will solve about 90% of your problems of your 808 sounding good in your beats. If you pick the right 808, it's gonna sound good. If you pick the wrong 808, it's not gonna sound that good. Now, there are a ton of 808s. There's a ton of drum kits out here. I have drum kits as well, and I try to select the best sounds and the best 808s, the best kicks, the best snares, and everything's in my kits so that you guys can have the best sound selection to choose. Now, there's a ton of 808s out here, but all of the 808s are not created equal. Some of them have a more of a top end sound to them. Some of them have a bottom end sound to them. Some of them have like a mid range. Some of them have like a little pop to it. They all have different characteristics that will fit certain tracks better than others. So make sure you guys go ahead and pick the right sounds first. Then when you pick the right sounds, that 808 will sound better in that track. So if you have something that may be very top end heavy, like you have a whole bunch of sounds that may have like a higher end on the frequency scale, then a heavier 808 on that bottom end will bring out that track. Now, if you have sounds that are in that mid-range, that mud range as I call it, then you might want to try to select the 808 that has less of a low end type of a rumble with something that might have more of a punch so that you can kind of hear that 808 kind of cutting through there. So it's all about sound selection. And then the more and more you produce, the more you'll understand about what type of 808s will work in certain beats. Sometimes you don't even need an 808. Sometimes you can just use a sine wave and a kick and it'll sound better as well. So just understand that sound selection is key. It is number 1 so you can get your track sounding better with your 808s. Number 2, staying in the correct key. A lot of you guys have problems with this. A lot of times y'all will make beats and the 808 will be out of key. I don't care how good your 808 is. I don't care where you got it from. If your 808 is out of key, it's not going to sound right. So make sure you guys use the correct key and make sure your 808 is tuned correctly. Now, just about everything now has some type of tuning mechanism inside of it, whatever program, and even on my MPC, they have it. You can go ahead, find the correct key of the 808 and then tune accordingly so that your 808 will sound better. Because when I hear a bad 808 in the beat, it just throws everything off for me. Because the first thing I will notice is a bad 808 in the beat. Make sure that you have everything in key. And I'm gonna be totally honest with you guys. I sometimes have problems with it as well. I'm trying to tell you right now, even though Bolo has some problems with 808s sometimes, and a lot of times it's because the 808s are actually a little slightly out of key before I even use it. So that's why I try to make sure, even when I make my kits, to make sure that the 808s are in key. So when I do use it, there's nothing like in between keys and it'll kind of throw me off. So make sure you guys pick some really good 808s that are number one in a key. Doesn't matter if it's C, D, E, F, G. It doesn't matter. Make sure that they're pretty much on key, and make sure that when you're making that beat that you have that 808 in the right key so stuff doesn't start sounding weird. Number 3, a lot of you guys are like, hey, my beat, it sounds good, but my 808 is just not standing out. I don't know why it's not, cutting through the mix. And then a lot of times you guys want to go ahead and use this plugin, use that plugin, use this, use that, when you don't have to do that. All you simply have to do is turn stuff up and down. That's why you have volume controls. Or sometimes you just got to take things out of the beat, which will give you space in the beat for your 808 to shine. Now, every track does not need an 808 that is just super explosive in the beat. Sometimes you just need something to where you can kind of feel the 808 more than you can kind of hear it. But in most situations, a lot of you guys say, man, my 808s just don't hit that hard. A lot of times is when y'all send me tracks for me to listen to, y'all have 1,001 sounds in there and everything is pretty much at the same level and your 808 is getting buried. So with that type of a situation, you might want to turn everything else down and maybe slightly turn your 808 or leave it right where it's at. And in that way, your 808 will cut through. Or you could just simply take a few things out and your 808 will sound better, because a lot of times you guys will send me tracks and y'all will have like 10 melody tracks and all that stuff is playing at one time, and then you have your 808 trying to survive throughout all that chaos. So a lot of times is just simply turning stuff up, turning stuff down, and taking things out. And then your 808 will sound a little bit better without any plugins. Now, I know this is only like 3 different situations. I know there's more you can use, but I'm the type of person that tries to do things in a very minimalistic way because I don't like to use a lot of plugins on my tracks. I try to get the best sounds that I can get. I try to make sure everything is in key, and I try to make sure when I'm mixing to have certain things stand out more than others. Because back then we were just taught to use the best sounds and use those to make your track sound as good as possible, rather than getting a bad sound and trying to enhance that. Really doesn't make any sense to me, but to each his own. But if you guys have another method, go ahead and let me know in the comment section on what you guys use to make your 808s sound better. You might want to use plugins. If that's what you want to do, that's all good. But also tell me another method that you guys would use if you did not have a plugin. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope you guys learned something from it. And like I always say, peace out.